If you think this video is about another brave Christian defending another brave Christian defending kids from being targeted and indoctrinated by transgenderism by a confused and mentally ill man. While I am a Christian and this could be something that might be quite brave, yet still, this isn't the video for you. And if you think this video is about another ally defending a trans woman from a hateful, bigoted Christian B-word, though by a lot of people's standards and definitions that I would use when defining my stance on trans issues, I would be basically considered a trans ally. If you want to call me that, okay, sure. Or I made videos about LGBTQ plus already, so I watched those. Maybe watched those before this, alright, to get my full thoughts on the issue. And Celestium, well, we're gonna but again, you've come to the wrong place. But if you want as least biased as possible source for a little bit of the drama of Naya, then you have come to the right place. This is the right video for you. I do want to basically give a little breakdown of the drama. So, there's a trans VTuber, Twitch streamer named Naya, or Naya TV, and she has said some controversial things on some of her videos, and has said some controversial things on Twitter. Asmondgold got a hold of some, and he did a lot of things with it, basically. And it kind of became a kind of a big deal a little bit. I think it still might be a little bit. And Celestium has talked about it, so I'm just going to give you guys the information as non-biased as possible, even though I will be out front with you guys. I do believe one side is completely wrong to an extent, but I could be completely wrong to an extent, so that's why we're watching these videos.
For context, this is apparently Asmondgold going on a anti-trans thing. I do not have all of the information here, but we're gonna hopefully gain a little bit of that info as we take a look at this.
So we have a person here who is a big fan, very big fan of giving children puberty blockers. Trans people will never leave kids alone. We want trans kids to be trans and give them the education and care we desperately needed when we were younger. Stop making it so difficult for us to be part of society. It is not transphobic to not want kids to transition. This is not trans-
Right. You're not incorrect about that, but that's not what was said there. Also, Zamian, thank you for redeeming your points for an ada.
I have talked a lot about my views on trans people, LGBTQ plus people in general, trans kids, all that stuff already, so just look it up. It's my thoughts on LGBTQ plus. One's a video, another one is a playlist with even more detail, both Christian and secular thoughts of mine about that very hot topic issue, obviously.
You fucking monster. But no, that's not what was said there, Asmon. Asmon, puberty blockers are not transitioning. Puberty blockers do not transition you. The argument was to give puberty blockers to kids, when they would be mostly useful. That's not asking kids to transition. You moron.
Transphobic.
But essentially can transition. Basically, puberty blockers, or more accurately, puberty pausers, are basically that they pause puberty. If I'm correct, even you can say non-trans or cis kids, whatever. Again, I already talked a lot about that. All that. The point is, puberty pausers, or say puberty blockers, basically says time out puberty for a number of reasons. Sometimes it could be for trans issues, which could be like gender dysphoria, things of that nature. Or it could be, if I'm correct, I think might have been some children with cancer, or if some children have basically too much puberty at a particular age. Like, I don't know I don't know a particular example, but you have puberty pauses for that. Or for some, if I'm correct, some boys who might develop what we would call, in a sense of way, at least back in my day, it was male B word. They don't have to go through that possible shame and things of that nature because, your body as a boy, all that stuff, hormones, all those things. Like, I'm not an expert, obviously. You can tell from my tone and all that stuff. Language. Point is, puberty pauses or puberty blockers are not just used for trans issues, as maybe you can say. They can be used for, you can say, cis kids or non-trans kids or non-trans issues, like I just said. Either, I think it's called onset puberty, or basically when the normal process of your puberty is a lot more advanced than it should be, you use puberty blockers sometimes to pause that puberty so it won't be weird, or for some boys, they won't develop male B words, male breasts, basically. They look like breasts, basically, like female breasts, basically.
This is normal.
And it's always like so interesting that these people are like obsessed with age of consent, with like
Are you going to play the rest of that context? Because there's some context for that clip you may be needing, Asmon.
Which is, I think, on both sides here. You can't just what we call clip chimp. You can't get to be like, did they say something? It's like, no, maybe they meant something else. Get more context. That's why we're watching these videos, so we get more context of the whole drama here, which shouldn't be a drama actually, but
there's some context you may need there before you do this joke. This joke you're doing right here is one where you try to say, oh, looks like I guess this person is a pedophile. That's why I'm having the reaction I'm having. Ha, 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 ha. Isn't that so funny? I, as one of the biggest streamers on the platform, effectively call somebody a pedophile. Ha, ha. But I didn't call them a pedophile, so that makes it okay. Ha, 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 ha. Maybe you should actually let the clip play, my guy. Maybe you should do that before your dumb fuck audience that keeps after your social hygiene practices start getting ideas. Okay, you want to...
That's enough.
So I wasn't even planning to post this.
Wait.
But this genius decided to make a whole video about Asmon, and
Wait, you didn't... You decided not to actually play the rest of the clip there? You just looked at your audience when they said, that voice, though, which is because you've cultivated an audience of transphobic people. Did you know that some trans women don't have perfectly passing voices?
do you know that some, you can say, cis or non-trans women have what we would call traditionally non-female voices? Because it's a sexism with low expectations, which sadly has, if I'm correct, as of right now, this recording affected sports in a way that will most likely affect most of biological females. Because, really, what does a woman sound like? We think maybe high-pitched, but, like, for some people, it's, like, very deep voice because of where they are, because there really isn't a female voice. I mean, obviously we have order and standards, things of that nature, but when it comes to voices, it's like, at the end of the day, there really isn't a female voice. There's, like, there's a general... There's a general expectation of a particular female voice in the West, but again, it's like, really at the end of the day, there is no female voice. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because you can't really differentiate gender and sex by voices because doesn't work, folks.
Did you know that? Oh my god, that's such weird news to me. That wouldn't be such weird news if you had cultivated an audience of normal people. But no, you've got a fucking audience of shanboarders. Ay, his audience are just as ignorant as him. Yep.
Then I witnessed the biggest self-report in human history. This individual claims little children should be able to consent to life-altering hormone therapy because at the same time they cannot not consent going through puberty.
So you know that the life-altering hormone therapy is the thing that the puberty blockers are there to buy time for, right? Like, no. I'm sorry, but no. No. That doesn't work. You don't get to make that argument because it's a disingenuous argument.
I'm at a loss for words.
When I, for example, talk about consent, the same with me saying, if a trans kid cannot consent to HRT, then why can they consent to puberty? How does that work? And I don't want to allow something they could regret. If they can't consent to...
So the point they're trying to make there, is that HRT induces puberty. It induces a type of puberty. And going through life as you normally do also induces puberty. If these two things are mechanically identical, then why do we have a different set of standards for one than the other? That's the argument.
And I think the counter argument is obviously because you can say normal puberty, or the puberty that you're naturally born into. I mean, that's just how it is. When it comes to puberty pausers, or say puberty blockers, that is an alteration of the natural process, which could be fine and good depending on the situation. And I think that's really the main point here, really, is consent is obviously... Hear me out, please, listen, please, listen. Consent is topmost priority. But obviously, especially in nature, consent isn't really a thing. Puberty is not consensual, and that's fine. But if you do want to alterate it for, depending on the reason, then that is also fine, because nature, especially as Christians, don't necessarily dictate our full lives. We don't ignore nature, but we know there's something higher than nature, obviously.
To HRT, if they can't decide which puberty they want to go through, how do you, justify forcing them through puberty?
These retards are going to get gay marriage repealed. Oh, and this is a person tweeting about me. Trans kids exist. I was one. I was not groomed.
I get what Asmondgold is saying to us, and you do have those crazies that are like, listen, there's reasons why some people want to control people's bedrooms because, well, X, Y, and Z, and it's like, well, let's think about this. You got this one TikToker really talking about their bedroom, okay? It doesn't mean we need to ban gay marriage. That doesn't compute, but Naya is not the reason why gay marriage is trying to be overturned. It's a lot of other things that I think is wrong, which I will actually get into in a later video. Get into more detail on my thoughts on gay marriage. And you might be surprised about my thoughts on gay marriage, or not. No. just no.
Groomed into this. People like Asmondgold get millions of views spreading hatred and denying our existence, while stories of trans adults and children are being suppressed and invalidated.
To an extent I can see, but I also again want to get into, yes, I guess there's a difference between being just naturally forced in the sense of, bowel movements are kind of naturally forced. You need to do a number 2. I mean, you can hold it. It's not, it's not a good advice, but you can. So that's kind of forcing, because nobody wants to do a number 2 in a sense, But I think what Naya is saying is people who actively and purposely try to force people into something that might be quite harmful, like the puberty that they might not want to be in. Again, depending on the situation, the best case should actually be puberty blockers and not trying to force something into somebody that will basically hurt them even more. It's just not worth it.
Just don't know who you are, or you fell for big pharma, or you're just mentally ill. I don't know about this person's history. I can't draw any conclusions on it. You are doing more damage to the entire trans community than you can even know.
But oh, I am so evil.
You're doing how are they doing damage to the trans community? How does that do So, Asmon, what you're doing is you are claiming that somebody else is doing damage to the trans community while you yourself are doing that damage to the trans community. This is the thing you're doing, and you are claiming other people are doing it because that is a convenient thing for you to do. Also, English clearly isn't their first language. It's true.
Was saying that, hey, you know, if a child cannot consent to HRT, then they can't consent to puberty.
And it's not just the trans community. There's AoE damage that's happening to the gay community as a macro community because you've decided—
No, shut the fuck up, you dumbass! Okay, no. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that because when you make that argument, you are invariably giving a bone to the LGB Alliance. Now, for those of you who may not know what the LGB Alliance is, it is a group of people who make the argument that Asmon is making right here.
And to be frank, I think tough take here, hot take here, folks. Listen, okay? The LGB Alliance is the actual Alphabet Mafia. They are the actual ABC cult. Come on, let's be honest here.
They would have all of their rights if only they could stop the trans people from having a voice. If only they could stop the transes from ruining everything for everyone. It is a tale as old as time. It is a way to erase trans people's actual contributions to the stage of civil rights for people who are part of the LGBTQ. That's what's being attempted there. And even if Asmon is not meaning to do that, it's perfectly valid to call it out. Because intent is only half of the special recipe. The end results of your actions, the end results of your arguments matter just as much. Danadan says, oh,
if not more to an extent. And this is kind of like a Christian concept. Faith is important, but also your works kind of prove your salvation. It doesn't gain your salvation, it proves your salvation. And so your beliefs on some things, yeah, they're beliefs, but if your actions say something else, then there's a problem. Like you have faith in Jesus, but yet your fruits might not really prove that faith in Jesus. I might question your faith depending on the situation, because it's faith that brings you to salvation. Will fruits prove your salvation, not the other way around, not vice versa.
Oh, the LGB without the T bullshit? Yes, it's the LGB without the T bullshit. That's all Asmon is doing here. I would love if I could actually click. There we go.
To attach yourself like a parasite to the LGB community and then turn it into effectively a weapon for you to push this on children. This is a literally 80-20, 90-10 issue. Who cares about the age of consent? This is disgusting.
Again, the only time who cares about the age of the only reason that you're bringing that up is you cut off that person in the middle of their argument. I don't know what argument they were trying to make in regards to age of consent. I don't know, because you truncated that information. You chose not to show that information.
Also, you can just again know people by their fruits. Like, if this person says something about age of consent, but yet you look at their content and they're clearly like anti-pedo, then they're most likely talking about something else, and you most likely need to listen to more of what they're about to say. But if they question the age of consent so much, then yeah, I'm like, oh no, another possible pedo apologia video from whoever, which comes from both sides. I mean, come on, we all know them, the pink pillars and the goipers. Like, come on. So there's that as well. So I think that's ultimately what Suris is saying here, because it's like, okay, if you know Naya's content, does she really like talking about the age of consent much? If not, then maybe she's not a pedo here. Maybe we need more context here. But if so, then maybe you got justification of, oh no, they're not pedo.
And therefore that information's not there for us to analyze. You chose to have a funny See, this is... Remember when I made that video earlier today about this is how you turn a skeptic into a bigot? Without actually changing any of their fundamental beliefs? This is that. This is that right there. The audience gave him a reaction. He gauged that reaction, decided that was the take that was good to go with, and now suddenly this VTuber is, what, a pedophile? Like, is that what we're going to go with? Because what you're going to do is you're going to say, well, that's not what I meant to say, that's not what I meant, but in effect, that's what your audience took from it. And you chose to have that be the clip that's here on this channel. You chose that information to be portrayed here that way. You don't get to claim that that's not what you were doing. That's what you were doing. Guitar says I sent the context in Discord. So yeah, let's go ahead and look at the video. Let's look at the context and see.
Yeah, if the phenotypical sex characteristics are ambiguous, then just Germany, Luxembourg, and Sweden. And it's always like so interesting that these people are like obsessed with age of consent, with like consent in general, but then they have like takes of how intersex people need to be forced into gender reassignment surgeries, etc., because they are broken.
What? That's the take that you decided to use? Hold on. Let me get this straight, Asmon. You decided to go with the take that you had there. These people, age of consent, it's disgusting. A take that only works if your argument's arguing against something completely different. If you have the full context of what this person was saying, then you can clearly see they're not trying to say anything yikesy about kids. That's like super easy to see, right? We all see that, right? Hopefully?
Exactly.
Like, surely there's no confusion there when we actually play the entire clip in its entirety. That this person isn't making a yikesy take about kids. They said the words age of consent, and you were just like, whoa, that's weird. He said the words age of consent. Weird. No, you fucking twisted that shit. You twisted that shit so that your audience would have a particular reaction to it, and that is gross and disgusting. You really are not a good person, Asmon. I'm sorry. But, there's a little more in here. Where is it? Asmondgold on Nyara and the campaign against... Let's see what's going on here.
We're going to read a few more of these and look at it. And virtual VTubers, VTuber Nyara is facing a harassment campaign. You call it whatever you want. Just stay away from the kids. Just stop trying to groom kids.
Nobody's fucking grooming kids, you idiot! That's... Oh my god! This is just Asmon claiming child grooming of somebody. Is that not just a form of fucking defamation? Like, is that not just a form of defamation? Is that not something that you could actually argue against, like in a court of law?
I'm not asking for a lot, am I? Damn, just stop doing that. And yeah, I don't know what this is. The person posted this themselves. I wouldn't be surprised. No, you can complain and cry and get mad about this and act like a victim all you want. But the thing is, I'm not going to stop doing it. I don't give a fuck. You cry all you want. It fucking makes it funnier for me. And the thing is, that means I know it's working.
Jesus! What a goddamn scumbag! How do you have that take and still feel like you're a functional human being that deserves empathy? What?
Which I would say, I don't know if Asmondgold has seen the full context, which again is the problem, which again is mainly the reason why I'm on the side of Naya to an extent, is because mainly Asmondgold is just not being a good steward of his influence as a huge content creator to just know the context. And it's like, yeah, this is kind of bad. It's not disgusting. It's not evil to an extent, because it's like, you can look at the full thing. Like, you can, Asmon. I don't know if he chooses not to, or he just thinks that's it, no need here, but it's like, context, guys. The C word here for today is context, ladies and gentlemen.
Cry about it all you want. I'm gonna keep doing it. In fact, actually, cry about it more, because that just makes it funnier. My guy, did you ever leave your high school bully phase? What? Did you ever actually leave the phase of just being a fucking high school bully to people? Holy fucking shit. Right-wingers truly only ever judge books by their cover because they don't know how to fucking read. Jesus Christ! Axo says, I've met a pedophile IRL. He was a cishet dude. Yeah, same here. The pedophile I met in real life was the childhood friend who got taken in by Operation Golden Eagle.
And by the way, if I'm correct, the majority of pedos are obviously straight and cis, but I think that's obviously because, the overwhelming population is straight and cis, but also there seems to be a very high percentage rate of pedos in, well, the church. I mean, Exhibit A, the recent sentencing, I think for 6 months in prison by somebody who used to be the religious advisor for our president at the moment, folks. So it's just, man, I'm gonna have to make a whole video about that, because respectfully, it's good to have repentance and forgiveness and restoration of faith, but restoration of leadership, we gotta just have justice, folks. Like, not a good guy. I don't know if he has a change of heart, I don't know, but he's done terrible, horrible things, let's just say that. I agree with Mike Winger. It's okay. I think he said, he tweeted the footage of, I keep forgetting his name for some weird reason, that he was getting arrested. Mike Winger, which I do agree on him on this, like, it's okay to feel justice when you see that. It's okay. You don't have to feel necessarily so bad for him, like, restore him immediately to leadership, like, dude, to be, with all due respect, fellow Christians, fellow brothers and sisters in Christ Jesus, that makes us look bad. There's some reasons why people don't go to church, like, I like my children, and you guys are welcoming the pedophile with open arms to molest children. I'm not gonna go there! Why would I believe in your God, too? Like, they go there. Like, come on, guys. We need a cleanup. We need to clean up, folks.
When I realized that, oh, this isn't a person, this is a goddamn monster. Jesus Christ, Asmon? What kind of a disgusting fuck says that? What kind of a monstrous human being says that about somebody else? Oh, cry about it harder. I'm just gonna keep doing it. Crying makes it funnier. Can you think of... like... think about it this way. When we say stuff like that on the left, who's the usual target and what do they do? It's usually someone like, say, Elon Musk, who's got billions of dollars, who can afford 12 billion years of therapy and never lose a dime. And what is he crying about? Tesla stocks going down. Who the fuck cares about Tesla stocks? Grow the fuck up. But what is this person crying about? Personal attacks you threw at them. That's what they're crying about, Asmon. Is it not reasonable to cry about personal attacks being aimed at you? Jesus Christ. What a vitriolic and shameful human being. I can't imagine being this pathetic. I cannot fathom living in a world where I have to wake up every day and look in the mirror and recognize that I am this person. I cannot fathom being Asmondgold. How would you wake up every day knowing that this is how you make your money? I just can't, I can't fathom it. I can't fathom being this gross of a human being towards people. Surely basic empathy and respect are the easiest things in the world. But no. This person can't do that. He's incapable of it. Because he makes his money off of farming hatred. It's gross. Said you couldn't live with yourself if you were Asmondgold? I couldn't either, knowing that this is the stuff... like, this is your legacy, my guy. This is the stuff people are going to be talking about you when you're dead. This is the stuff people are going to remember about you. They're not going to think of how many video games you beat. How cool of a gamer bro you are.
He does not have to just be this. Saul's legacy wanted to genocide Christians, basically. But no, he didn't turn Paul. Paul is just his Roman name. But basically, Saul to Paul, it's symbolic. Asmongold, your legacy doesn't have to be this. It could be just like a Saul moment where, yeah, you were this, but now you are a Paul in a sense. You come from darkness to light, from King of Satan to King of God. If you want to go that far, because, listen, Satan's the father of lies, or more specifically, Satan's the father of bad lies. Lies are evil and negative and all those things. That's usually what lie means in that context, obviously. Just want to point that out there. Respectfully, Asmongold, if you're knowingly doing this, like lies of omission or lies of commission or a mixture of both, that's respectfully in the spiritual realm, that's a Satan thing. Respectfully. And you don't have to do that. You can be with truth. You can do a God thing, or at least not be this. Don't do this. Like, come on.
Because of this.
So anyway, one clip is canceling? Nah, bro, everybody hates this bitch. And the reason why, I'll tell you the reason why, is because she leads cancel campaigns against another person. So this dumb bitch goes and starts leading a massive cancel campaign on Kirshi, saying how she's a racist, a Nazi, trying to get her sponsors taken away. And then I call her out, and I don't even say a whole lot. I just play her own clip of her saying it. He, she, I don't give a fuck what their gender is. She acts like a woman, somebody's trans. I'm not gonna go and play these gender games. I don't give a fuck about that. You a man, you a woman, you neither. You a retard. And that's the fact. You a roach. And the fact is, like, I'm calling...
I just, again, I can't fathom being this mean of a person. I can't. I can't. Also, in terms of Kirshi, can we just accept the fact that if Grums is one of your staunch supporters, maybe you're not a good person? Maybe you're not a good person. Also, Asmon, the one clip about the person thing, you realize that when you took that clip out of context, and then you fed that to your audience that are not going to evaluate the information you've given them, that's a you issue. That is a personal failing on your part. And shame on you. Your audience deserves better, and you owe them that. And instead, you give them these lukewarm takes with no context and nothing. But it's popcorn. It's just popcorn. And people can just consume popcorn mindlessly. And they don't think about the ways that the popcorn is affecting them. Guitar Record says he's fostered an audience of far-right morons. Yeah, it's amazing that there are friends of mine who used to be big fans of him. It is astounding. God. What a shameful human being. I really pity Asmon. I really do. You know what? I can't even get angry anymore. The anger doesn't do anything. Anger's easy. What I have right now is sadness. Sadness that an individual can sink this low and then make money off of it. It just taints this whole goddamn platform. Virus Verdict says y'all are quite narrow-minded. No. Not in this regard. Not in this one. Roaches is an insult, is rich coming from him. Yeah, but I'm not about to do the whataboutism there. I'm not about to go for the ad hominem attack. The ad hom is easy. The ad hom is easy. Instead, I'd rather look at the actual material end result of the words he is saying and see them for the shameful things that they are.
And as a Christian, I can see the spiritual aspect of it, and it is still shameful and bad, but it doesn't have to be. This doesn't just have to be the end result of your story and of life, Asmondgold. You can have a different chapter. You can literally turn the page, in a sense. You can just watch the full context. You can make a better video. Quite literally, you can make a better video apologizing and just being like, hey, I want the full thing, all those things, the whole context. Let's go, come on. Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Technically, I'm part of the problem. Responding to this video, it makes me part of the problem too. It really does. But I think it's okay to call out somebody when they do shit like this. It's just gross. It's just gross. Just as I wouldn't call it ad hom so much as lack of self-awareness. If I call attention to it, it's ad hom. Because it's me dismissing any argument he might have in favor of attacking him personally. Which is ad hominem. God. See, now I'm just sad. And the thing is, here's the thing. If the political winds shift further to the left, you know he's just going to end up having opinions in that area. This isn't a person that can actually stand by their convictions. His convictions are based on the audience he's cultivated.
Yeah, that might be true. I don't know. Because in that case, I think he'll be considered at least a social grifter. Because I think a general grifter is money-based, but maybe Asmondgold is just social influencer-based. I don't know. But, yeah.
It's an endless cycle where nobody can actually have an opinion that is their own. It is entirely influenced by the people around them. God, this is sad.
Unedible things. Asmondgold. No.
Jesus. So I'm torn with Asmon, because like on the one hand, I want to make fun of him because he has provided so much for us to make fun of. Mostly due to his hygiene. And I feel like the reason that I want to attack his hygiene is because I play Magic the Gathering. So it's a pastime of mine, attacking people's personal hygiene. I don't know if that actually means that's the right thing to do. I just know that if I can assume that Speed Stick hasn't touched one's body, I can assume I'm staying 5 feet further away.
So, like, the thing is, like, I mean, you cannot really engage with these people in good faith anyway. Like, believe me, I tried, but these people don't even, like, engage with the argument or, like, address these things. Like, they literally look at, oh, this person tweeted about children so many times, must be a pedophile. And, like, it is just very disingenuous, and, like, I cannot address this. Like, I address all those claims. They do not understand, like, the arguments that I'm making. They don't want to understand these arguments that they're making because they're literally just doing the thing that is the most lucrative, which is, like, selling outrage.
That seems to sadly be the go-to thing. Outrage, blood sports, debates, heated and hated stuff, conversation, things of that nature. I think it's mainly these two reasons. One, your life is respectfully boring, so you need to spice it up a little bit on the internet. Or two, your life is kind of chaotic already, and it might help relieve or it might confirm your opinion on some things. If you have a life that seems quite sorrowful, sadly, or harsh, you just want something that's harsher on something else, so it might relieve you of what's been going on. And it's a very energetic emotion, anger, hatred. You use a lot in some cases, but if I'm correct, it's actually you use a lot more when it comes to love and things of that nature, especially forgiveness. But it's easy. It's also easy. Like Suris said on the last video, it's popcorn. It's easy to get mad at something and say something bad about it, and debate and really argue and yell at somebody else and think that they're wrong. It's easy. That's just easy. It's just easy money, easy pickings. That's just how it is, sadly. But here's good news. Christians, we, as Christian content creators and YouTubers, should have a general basis of being different than that. Having peaceful, but sometimes passionate conversations, have very light-pilled stuff in general, because we have a lot of black-pilled stuff already. We should be a light in the darkness, a salt in the light, a lighthouse. So and since we're new creatures in Christ Jesus, and we're in the kingdom of God, not the kingdom of Satan or the kingdom of this world anymore, which I talked a lot more about there, it makes sense that we need to have a pretty good contrast of us and non-believers in a good way, in a way that's like, hey, we're doing something unique, and it's more beneficial than what most other people are doing it in the world.
The thing that bothers me about the outrage farming is it's so easy to do. It is the easiest thing in the world to do, because all you have to use is the narrative principle of cosmic horror, which everybody understands without actually knowing they understand it. It sounds complicated, and then you hear it and you go, oh shit, I get it now. So are you familiar with a lot of like cosmic horror authors, or just like the concepts?
I only know who's the guy who made like Cthulhu and stuff.
Okay. So why am I blanking on his name? I own all of his books. What is wrong with me?
H.P. Lovecraft.
H.P. Lovecraft. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a concept in cosmic horror, and it is never describe your monster. Never describe your monster. The less information you give about your monster, the more your reader is going to use what their brain can create. Their brain will insert something that is far more terrifying than what you can create.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I heard this. Yeah.
When H.P. Lovecraft implies going into the cities of the ancients, he describes them as being comprised of impossible angles. So how do you even think of that? How do you write those words in a way that a person can understand? You can't. But the fact that you try to wrap your brain around it and you can't creates an image all on its own. So that exact same principle is what you use in outrage culture. You don't provide an enemy that your audience needs to understand. You simply give them something very basic, and then you make them make up reasons to get angry about it. So for you, with Asmon, it's Nyara talks about children, and that's all he has to say. His audience will fill in the blanks on their own, because if I were to say, this motherfucker talks about kids, I could be talking about a school nurse. I could be talking...
Yeah, exactly.
I could be talking about a father. I could be talking about any number of people.
That's exactly the point, and the point that I made previously in this video is, if you have something that's so vague like that, like, hey, she's talking about kids, well, let's look at her general content. What does she generally talk about? If she does talk about kids a lot, okay, what does that mean, though? Is it education? What's going on here? And if you see it as, like, she's fixated on children in a way that's kind of weird, like maybe, well, I don't know, but it's weird, it's, like, suspicious, it's sus, then I'm like, okay, I'm most likely with Asmondgold for now until I get more information, because I just don't want to be in a bandwagon of drama that might not be true and could harm somebody, especially their influence or their reputation or even their lives. Sadly, I think have recently seen that, sadly. And so, yeah.
But if I use that tone and I say those words that way, most people, I refuse to put a percentage on it because it would be pulled out of my ass, but most people are going to take that and insert whatever they want to demonize someone. So you take a VTuber. What's the easiest dig you can give it a VTuber? Oh, you're hiding your face because you're ugly, right? It's like the most the most common thing we hear all the time. Despite the fact that when you go to TwitchCon, you film yourself, so people know what you look like, and when I go to protests, I film myself so people know what I look like.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's so many VTubers who are, like, incredibly attractive, and I'm just like, it's just basically an expression for stream.
Like
it doesn't have anything to do with like insecurities or something. Like, I mean, for me, for example, I do have like a lot of like dysphoria and stuff, so I am pretty insecure. But I also don't want to dress up and do makeup and do all these things just to like look into the camera and, you know, not want to scratch my eyes out. But I'm just way more comfortable with being a VTuber. And right now, considering the content that I do appreciate the anonymity at least a little bit.
Yeah, it's a layer of anonymity, so the people who aren't willing to put in the legwork to like figure out what you look like don't get to they don't have that.
And if you guys don't know, even if you disagree with it or not, there is a idea that trans people are victimized a lot. I do believe that is true for a number of reasons. And I think most of them are not true, and some of them might be true, but it's like a very, very, very small minority. Like pink pilling, which was basically the concern that a lot of conservatives and Christians had with trans people indoctrinating or grooming kids. There is something called pink pilling that was a thing, but that again is not the majority of trans people. That's like saying the West Baptist Church represents Christians and Christianity. I think we can all agree as Christians that they obviously do not. Obviously. And so the anonymity helps some trans people to talk about certain things that might, sadly, to be honest, will actually get them killed, especially here in the South. I'm from the South. I can say with a lot of certainty it makes sense to have that. It's like a Christian in Iran or China. They might want to have some anonymity so people can't just track them down easily. So when they talk about Jesus Christ and the gospel of Jesus Christ, the true gospel of Jesus Christ, it'll be hard for the communist Chinese government and the Iranian theocratic extreme Islamic regime to find them and kill them.
That. Obviously, it's not perfect because anybody can just figure that out really easy. You might not like Mike from PA, but I believe his strategy with Asmondgold is the best. If they're an Asmondgold fan, just talk about how disgusting he is and try to shame them. Don't argue, just shame. So I
don't know.
I don't like that strategy. Again, not a fan of Mike from PA, and I don't like that strategy, and here's my reason why. It's the easiest strategy possible. It is the easiest thing in the world to just make fun of the dude's hygiene and make that be the only thing you do. And then make fun of the fans of that, because there is a truth to the statement that the streamer creates their audience. They create an audience around them that reflect them in some way. I've got a lot of people in my chat who play.
That's true, but I think if I'm correct, also sometimes the audience or chat can create the content creator via, I think it's called audience capture. Basically, you're captured by the audience. Whatever the audience says, basically, you do. The audience dictates what you do, which is not something that you necessarily want. You should want a sort of balance. You should be a sort of source that people go to regarding certain things, and if they have good feedback and good constructive criticism, you accept it and try to change as much as possible while still being the content creator and not letting the audience dictate what you do necessarily. It kind of just depends, because you might have a content creator that's like, okay, I'm all ears. Chat, people in the comments down below, my audience, followers, what do you want me to do? Which is fine if that's what they want, but if they're not that, as somebody who is part of a chat, part of the audience, part of a follower of certain things, not follower meaning like, subscribe to people, not follower as in like following God, because the only God I follow is the God of Christianity, Jesus Christ, God the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, obviously. it might not be so obvious for some people, but yes, indeed, I know, shocker. Uh, it's make sure what type of content creator is what. Like, if they want a lot of feedback from you, then give them good feedback. But if they have a goal in mind, if they think that they are a source for you to get certain information, then understand that. Understand that maybe they might not agree with everything that you agree with. But, you might agree enough to follow or at least view some of their content.
Play similar video games to me, who play Magic the Gathering, who really care about politics, and it's because that's a lot of what I talk about on stream. Asmondgold talks about how he's a millionaire who doesn't have a washed ass, and a bunch of people who are wannabe millionaires who don't know how to wash their ass will watch Asmondgold, and it's the easiest thing in the world to just point at. The problem is, it's not an actual argument.
Yeah.
It's not an actual argument at all. And at that point, what you're doing is you're spending your time slinging mud back and forth instead of actually creating a better audience. So if you're a content creator, if all you do is do that lowest common denominator bullshit, sling the mud, you will eventually create the same audience that Asmondgold has. And if that's your goal, then I guess, yeah, it's easier money, sure. But I don't think that should be the goal of a content creator that wants to make things better. Obviously, the insults are going to be a thing to throw every now and again. It's a thing that we have in our back pockets, and our audience gets a chuckle out of it. But if that's all you're doing, there's no substance anymore. You don't have anything to build an audience on. What do you... Just as a quick thing, if you build an audience of action, like I want my audience to go out and vote, I want my audience to go out and get involved in canvassing, I want my audience to get up out of their seats, stop watching me, and go out and do something politically. That's what I want. If I'm creating that audience, and I also am creating an audience of people whose only way to engage with people is making fun of their lowest common denominator traits, those aren't going to be people who are effective at politics. They're just going to go out and be mean assholes. Like, that's the environment I'll have created.
Like, the thing is, like, I get that you... The thing is, like, with the content I make, I address all these claims. I address all the things. I talk about, like, my reasoning behind why I even say the things that I do on Twitter. I talk a lot about, like, the comments, but I'm never going to try, or, like, I'm never going to actually change the mind of Asmongold.
Correct. Asmongold's mind's only ever going to get changed by money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm also never going to change the mind of, like, his core audience. But I have so many people in my comments being like, I actually used to watch Asmongold, but this situation changed my perception of him.
Mm-hmm.
Especially a lot of the people who thought that he was more trans supportive, but got more and more transphobic over the years, spreading the rhetoric. I also have so many people who are like, oh, I fell for this trap, being like, oh, this person talks about children the entire time, must be a groomer. And then I looked at the video and I figured, no, it's literally just someone pushing this lie in order to invalidate you. I would not have this if I would just, like, sit there being like, oh, this goober attacks me and he can't even take care of his rotten teeth. You know, like, it wouldn't do anything. It's just like, you kind of have to pick your battles. Especially, you know, if you're sitting on Twitter arguing with people who just want to argue, you're not going to reach these people. That is why a lot of the things that I do is stream capping these things, or quoting people and then addressing the claims, and then, I don't know, muting or blocking the person, and then letting them scream into the void. Because, like, I don't really care about what they have to say because what they are saying is wrong and stupid. But I can still use it as an opportunity to help someone who is on the fence of things to understand the.
And I think as a Christian, and just at least in my opinion, that might not be the best idea. Like, okay, well, you want them, block them, and then use their argument. Like, I think you gotta listen to people where they're at. Because we all used to be sinners until somebody came in and we listened to them, and or you were bored into it, but then realized that you can't be bored into it. You actually have to believe in salvation. You gotta do it yourself. You're not really born into the kingdom of God. You have to be adopted in a sense. And but there's some cases where it's like, okay, it's time to what's it shake the dust off your feet and go to the next house. That's what Jesus Christ said. Sometimes you gotta do that. If they don't accept what you're saying, you just gotta move on. And depending on how it went, you can use that as an example of, hey, this is what I did. They just didn't want to hear it. If you've done this for like whatever, basically if it's like this X, Y, and Z, then maybe you're not gonna listen. It's just time to go to somebody else whose hearts might not be so hard. And depending on the situation, it might not be that. It might be because you're just a terrible communicator of the gospel of Jesus Christ. That might just be it too. Or a mixture of both. It just depends. You just gotta know that you know from the Holy Spirit. But at least for me, as a Christian, I do not agree with that. But I do see in some cases it's sometimes you got to shake the dust off your feet and go to the next house, in a sense, as Jesus Christ teaches us.
Perspective better.
Also, there's this funny thing that happens. And this happens, I've seen this happen in, like, the atheism versus creationism arguments. I've seen this happen in the transphobia arguments. I see this happen a lot, where two creators will have beef, and there will be somebody who weirdly watches both creators. And now suddenly that person has to pick a side. And it's way easier to be the side that person picks when you're the one who's being infinitely less of an asshole. Obviously, you're gonna have the people who, because I had this when I did my Asmond videos, where he goes, "Oh, comments on Asmond being mean, but he's doing the same thing." And like, yeah, you're right. I am being mean to Asmond because I think he deserves being mean. I think he deserves people being mean to him. I do believe that, but that's not the entirety of my content. I feel like when I watch his content, that is the majority of his content.
Yeah.
At least when he's talking about people.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, a lot of the people that he attacks don't have, like, a platform, and they can't really fight back. And he's incredibly irresponsible with his audience, with his platform, and I feel like people need to hold him accountable, but, like, Twitch doesn't do anything. And a lot of people don't want to get like involved because of his hate mob. But honestly, after the situation with me, it doesn't do much. Like I don't know. They were really upset with me for like a week, 2 weeks, and now I only have like some people who like constantly harass me. But it's just whatever. I have way more support, and that means a lot.
Yeah. It's I think anytime, because I've had a similar experience. I forget who the creator was, but it was some like 600,000 subscriber YouTuber who made a video response to me and basically went down the same rabbit hole of like, oh, this guy's a pedophile. And it was because I was defending puberty blockers. And this was like two years ago. And he started a harassment campaign that got really, really messy, I want to say for about 2 weeks. And then after that, it just kind of died off. Like, my video got a lot of traction from him responding to me because people wanted to see the internet beef, and then it died off. It just all disappeared. And that seems to be the case. Like, these people get their pants on fire and they get really, really ready to get involved and fight for their favorite streamer, and then, like, it just dies off. It just disappears out into the wind. All of that motivation goes away the minute that this person targets somebody else.
It was Rev. Rev attacked you. Rev doesn't acknowledge me anymore since I made the video on him, and we basically got him and his wife, more his wife, basically vanished from content creation because, a lot of the ASMR community is supportive of trans rights and stuff. Oh, you call everybody who disagrees with you a Nazi. Oh, you disagree with a trans person and you automatically get labeled a transphobe. And it's like, well, if you disagree with me on if Red Bull or Monster is better, then I'm not going to call you transphobic if you say, if you disagree with me. But if you say that, like, children shouldn't be trans because they cannot consent to this type of stuff, that is based in transphobic rhetoric. And if I, like, tell you, hey...
All right. Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about it because obviously I might disagree a little bit here. I think it depends on the root of the concern, or basically, is the root a concern about something that, at least for most people, is more well known? Not necessarily a social contagion, it might be somewhat, but not really. It's more so because it's just more well known, and it's like, oh, I just realized this is that. A good analogy is like when Paul said, I perceive that you guys are religious and worshipping to the unknown God. Well, actually, I'm going to tell you who that unknown God is, and he gives them the gospel in a sense, basically. That's kind of what seems to have happened when it comes to trans people. It's like, I perceive you guys have gone through something about gender and sex, and I think it might be this. Most people haven't talked about it because it didn't really matter until, well, today, whether for good or bad, whether it was on this side or that side. I think it was a mixture of both. Point is, at least for me, I think there's a very small percent chance of actual kids being trans, meaning kids who have gender dysphoria. Hot take, like salvation, so I am consistent on this. If it's not gender dysphoria, then I think you should wait at least, like, I don't know the particular appropriate age, but at least maybe 16, at least near that. Because a 7-year-old, I don't think really knows social identity to an extent. Like, they know some things in a sociology-like sense. I'm in school, I'm learning a little bit about sociology, but even then, again, same thing with, I believe with salvation as well. If a kid cannot, basically, if a kid cannot perceive gender or sex until 13 or whatever, or even more than that, then I think it's the same thing with, they can't comprehend salvation of God. It's a lot to an extent, and sin, and why sin is so bad, like, that's a little bit kind of complicated, but still simple in a sense for some. And most of the time, children get saved because their parents are saved, or again, they just don't really fully comprehend it. So being consistent there, they can't do that. I don't think something like the social identity known as gender and how that works, I don't think a 7-year-old's gonna know that. Now, if they're gender dysphoric, even then they most likely don't know, but sadly they do have a medical situation to where it is part of that in a sense. Again, there's a lot more expertise on this. I don't know, there might be a card there for some one who's a lot more in expertise about this. The point is, no, it depends. If your root of saying there's really no such thing as trans kids is that they can't really comprehend or conceive it or consent to what it being trans would be, and understanding that, I don't think that's necessarily transphobic. It just depends. But if you're like basically bigoted and I guess a good example is basically eradicating transgenderism, thinking that people are ideologies. This makes no sense. And basically, you're believing in some lies and propaganda about trans people to a point where if there might be, let's say, Tommy likes Barbies, you think that's the woke mind virus. It might not be that. It might just be a boy. He might like Barbie dolls. It might just be a phase, and that's on the other side. Doesn't mean therefore he's trans either. He might just like Barbie dolls. That's fine to an extent. So it depends on the root of saying there is no such thing as trans kids. I would not say that because, yeah, that might be transphobic or bigoted, or anti-trans to an extent. But if you say there's not that much trans kids, I think that's a lot more accurate, and I don't think is really transphobic. It could be for some, which is understandable, but it really, again, it's the root of what you're saying. Well, what's the root here, basically?
Hey, actually, like a child can be trans, no matter if that child transitions or not. And you go, nuh-uh, then that's probably because you're transphobic and you deny the existence of trans kids and push the idea that it's just like a choice, something that like happens eventually.
Like even some of the biggest right-wing commenters who happen to be trans have said on podcasts publicly, oh yeah, they knew that they were trans when they were like 8. Like that was what Blair White said on a podcast. She's like, yeah, I knew I was trans when I was 8 years old. And these are the same people that argue that like kids can't be trans while simultaneously saying that they as children unchanged by their environment knew they were trans that early.
Yeah.
Like it's such a weird world to live in, thinking about what it must be to be inside that head.
Remember the days when children weren't allowed to be left-handed? I'm left-handed, and I had my like in the kindergarten, I switched actually kindergarten because they tried to make me write with my right hand. And that was, I don't know, 23 years ago? Obviously,
Because being left-handed is
Christian.
bad. Yep, that's...
Yeah.
When I didn't hear much conversation about left-handedness in my... Because I went to a Christian private school growing up. We didn't have that much issue in the States where that was concerned when I was growing up. But this is the same private school that told me that the Earth was 6,000 years old. So, take your battles, I guess.
Yeah, pick your struggles. I'm a trans femme creator. I talk a lot about like trans issues. My stream content is a little bit more than that. We sometimes play video games and actually do stuff. But if you go to my YouTube channel, a lot of it is like educational content and political content. Just because people keep lying, and it's really difficult to get proper information on trans topics. So I kind of, figured I'm going to utilize my knowledge that I had to acquire in the past like 6, 7, 8 years, and turn it into my content. And now people think that I make it my whole personality, which I guess can be true, but sometimes you gotta make being trans your entire personality when people make being transphobic their entire personality.
Yup.
And I recently got into a little bit of a drama with... It basically started with Repsis Desu, trying to get me cancelled by the VTuber community. And once he backed off, I saw that there's another VTuber who's even more obviously, like, blatantly alt-right. That VTuber being Kirsche, who pushes a lot of right-wing talking points, like the Great Replacement Theory, who quotes Sam Hyde and wishes the death of communists, someone who endorsed Anders Breivik because he killed all those communists, even though they were just like socialists and basically teenagers. Then it kind of blew up once nyaraVT made the Vice article about gamer subs partnering with this streamer. Because we kind of started calling out gamer subs because what the fuck, why are you endorsing this, not just working with this VTuber, but also slapping your check mark onto their Twitter. And got into like a little bit of beef because like, how dare I start a cancel campaign, and I'm doing life ruination for calling out some creator who uses their platform to do horrible things. Someone who said that like, all these men, all these women pretending to be men are now on testosterone. Is that how the school shootings are now closing the gap between women and men because of the testosterone? And it's crazy stuff. And then Tectone got involved a little bit, hitting me with like, don't make me call my dad. And Nux Taku got involved a little bit because her son retweeted a post about it and called Kirsche a little freak, little disgusting freak or something. And then Asmondgold was also like starting, like pushing the harassment campaign of nyaraVT, because Anna said a lot of like rage baity things. There's like one clip where she was like being really outrageous and talking about like breeding farms, which like the right wingers like obsess over. And it's like, if you're a normie and you listen to this and you think that, oh, this person is like serious, even though this is literally just like on purpose very rage baity. But kind of like the thumbnails that I did with like, oh, leave leave kids alone, and me going no. That was, that was like on purpose.
I kind of get it, but I would not do that. It would be like me having like a gay family say leave us alone, and me like with let's say a firearm or a pitchfork saying never. Like I don't think that would be good, or not. It would not be something I would do. Maybe I don't know, like a MAGA family, with the Trump hats and all, saying leave us alone, and then me with like a torch or pitchfork. Use the same analogy and saying no. Like, I wouldn't do that. That would not be good. Like, yeah, it's clickbaity, yeah, it's rage baity, but I don't know if that's worth it. Also, my name is JTF, by the way. Just put that. I know that might be a terrible time to introduce my name, but yeah, my name's JTF.
Very controversial, and like it basically did what I expected it to do. Like, these people push it, but if you look into it, if you read what I'm saying, like, oh, trans people care about other about trans kids, and we're not going to give. That was just like what this is referring to, and they are like pushing the narrative that like, oh, you're turning you want 8-year-olds to go on puberty and puberty blockers and hormones, and you want to, I don't know, do child mutilation on 6-year-olds. And I address all of these claims, but these people don't engage with the arguments. They don't engage with good, like in good faith. So it kind of, it's always kind of a struggle to like deal with these things, because if you don't have like a proper support system and these people dogpile on you, it can be very scary, because you never know what these people do. They use anything as like a justification to like feel like anything goes, basically. Like they can dox you, threaten you because, I don't know, you're a pedo, and it can be very scary. Like I had like a Kiwi Farms thread on me, and they couldn't find anything, so they just started faking screenshots. They were so blatantly fake that even Kiwi Farms shut it down, which is crazy. And people like still push these rhetorics, like oh, there are tweets of you saying that you have CSAM and sell it on your Discord, and you look at these tweets and they were like made before my account was even created, being like, what the fuck? How are people like falling for this?
Because they don't do any research. They listen to a mouthpiece, and that mouthpiece tells them what to think, and they don't engage with content critically. And to be honest, there's a part of this. There's a part of me that wants to blame viewers for this, but
before we get into that, I guess the counter argument I think anybody can make is like, okay, that might not be your main channel. It might have been an alternate profile. That might not have been your particular Twitter profile, your personal or mainstream one, but it was like a secret one. It was a, because if they connected the dots, like, yeah, this is the same person, then yeah, we might have some problems, but I don't know. Do information. Get information, good information that is trustable, if you wills.
I think that the era of short form content has dialed up people's want to just be spoon fed info instead of like looking for info.
Oh yeah. The amount of people who go to like Asmondgold to get news is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's terrifying, because like even if you go on Twitter, you're going to be fed a specific narrative, and a lot of people don't even check like the amount of people posting like, oh, another drag queen doing something bad, and it's like an event that happened like 5 years ago being portrayed as something recently is crazy.
And that's, again, you guys have to do your research, but sadly, you don't have to do this much research, but if I'm correct, I do follow a lot of people who do a hashtag not a drag queen. It's a lot of, well, you guessed it, preachers, youth pastors, being sentenced to, I think, being sentenced to prison for raping a minor and things of that nature. It's like, those things I highly doubt are not altered, because sadly we just have a huge track record and cover up via by the Catholic Church of those things. So it's like, when I see that, I don't. Of course, if I had enough time, because school, I would do enough research, but I do kind of take the benefit of the doubt and be like, yeah, most likely, because sadly we just have a horrible, wicked, and sinful and abominable track record of sexual immorality, particularly with pedophilia in the church to where it's like, yeah, I'm not surprised at this point. And yeah, it is usually not a drag queen. It's sadly usually a preacher. Or sadly, your family member, actually. As somebody who has done some training in that, I am in Boy Scouts or say Scouts of America, and as a Eagle Scout, I'm an adult volunteer in a sense or an adult leader, and we have to take basically a basically protect young people program basically, and it talks all about it, and really no mention of drag queens. It was mentioned of family members and pastors and basically coaches and basically people who are usually around you, but really not a drag queen. Either maybe because they don't want to get heat or because they realize and know that drag queen is not really the category of the child predator. They're just not. Are there some inappropriate footage? Definitely. Definitely. But compared to, sadly, the other side, preachers, youth pastors, etc., it's just obviously one has much more of the child predators, and the other one, it's not the drag queens. That's just a fact. And we should change that, church. We definitely should.
The thing is, like, I want these people to talk more about me because they don't have any arguments. They push a certain narrative. I don't know. Wait, Suris, did you see the clip that I sent you where he watched a video of someone scrolling through my tweets mentioning children?
And that's so I watched it for about a couple seconds, and then I clicked away because that's about my usual when I deal with Asmondgold. I figured that's what he does to most of our content.
Hey,
anyway.
real quick, if you want to dedicate your life to Christ, aka get saved, or if you're a backslider and want to rededicate your life to Christ, or if you want the baptism of the Holy Spirit with the evidence of speaking with tongues, those prayers are in the description down below.